Thank you so much for tuning in to Awakening with Katina Love, where we help you expand your consciousness and become your best version. Please subscribe to our channel by clicking the red subscribe button below. And remember to click the bell so that you'll be notified of every new upload that we do on audio or video. So today we have a special guest, and her name is Maria Kay, international coach, author, and speaker. Maria is here to help raise the consciousness on the planet and help people upgrade and become their best version. Her website is upgradewithmariak.com. Maria, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. So today we're going to talk about how you help people to upgrade their life and create their own happiness. So welcome. Welcome once again. So I'd like to start out by asking you, how did you awaken to your spiritual gifts, your calling, and your life's purpose?
Well, it wasn't pretty.
Usually isn't, right?
No. Well, I'll start way back, and I suppose I was always a helper. I
Mm.
was always a supporter. I was always the sensible one, who had a shoulder to cry on, an ear to listen, the tissues in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always a natural motivator. I remember one of my first ever jobs. I helped my boss lose weight,
Mm-hmm.
and I had no formal training. It was very, very random, but that always stuck in my mind because it was just something that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I I believe that we have many awakenings throughout our life, and I believe that most of them are we're unconscious of. We don't realize it's happening. So
Mm-hmm.
then, and this is what happened for me, so we don't fully embrace it. And of course, when we can't see it in our consciousness, it's like we keep dropping the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So the big awakening, the one where everything changed and I was literally a completely different human being overnight almost.
Mm-hmm.
I had my heart broken, and it was a definite breakdown to breakthrough period of time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of didn't really want to continue with life. And I know that this is a very common occurrence the more and more and more that I connect with people, and throughout my career now,
Mm-hmm.
as helping and coaching and mentoring, it's very common. And I everything changed really. The way I parented my children, the way I ran my home,
Mm-hmm.
the way that I interacted with friends. The biggest, most prominent change there was in my work. And the work that I was doing at the time was mostly in the health and wellness industry. So I was helping people with lifestyle, I was helping with weight loss, weight
Mm-hmm.
management, etc. And the old systems just weren't working anymore. Well, they were. It's not that they weren't working; they weren't cutting it. I could see. It's almost like someone turned on the light,
Right, Bob.
and
Yeah.
I could, yeah, and I could no longer perpetuate these systems
Mm-hmm.
that I could see straight through.
I
It's not that
understand.
they were completely redundant, but there was more.
Uh-huh.
So I just naturally started to work in different ways, and the results were phenomenal. I was even in awe myself, and the thing is, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really know what I was doing. I was just going with it. I was just following
Yeah.
my intuition,
Uh-huh.
and um, I had no idea that it was a thing. I had no idea how to describe it, let alone market myself. But eventually, I realized that the work was morphing into holistic
Mhm. That's awesome.
coaching and spirituality and awakening, and yeah, that's the beginning of the story, the very, very, very beginning.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, what are the core things that you do to help raise the consciousness on the planet, help raise the consciousness of humanity, help people to awaken? Because most people are walking around, they're asleep.
Yeah,
So,
I think,
what is the core thing you do to help awaken people to the possibilities to become more responsible, for the choices that they make, and to teach people that they're in charge and they create their own happiness, how, and it's up to them to upgrade and become their best version.
well, I would say the very first thing that I do is make sure that I'm walking my talk.
Mhm.
And I committed to this many years ago, and it didn't come from an intellectual standpoint. It came from the heart. It's like my heart and soul gave me a very clear message that part of my mission is to build myself back up,
Mhm.
fill in my own gaps, peel back all of my layers.
Mhm.
And if that's the only thing I do, which is not, but if that's the only thing I ever do, then that is that is enough, because it's, for me, it wasn't ever going to be okay to skip over all of that.
Mhm.
The self healing, the self awareness, the inner discovery, the raw and ragged and painful journeys that we individually have to go on as mentors and coaches. I
Right.
couldn't skip over that. Uh, and then sort of get on my soapbox and point the finger and expect other people to walk through the fire if I'm not willing to do it myself. So
Right.
that is one of the first principal things that I do, and I do it. I still do. We never get it done right.
Right.
So, and the second step is that I always bring people back to their own truth. And
Mhm.
sometimes our own truth isn't the truth that we can see, because we can't see ourselves. We
Mhm.
really can't. And so we can all use somebody who can reflect back to
To
us
us.
the good, our strengths, our gifts, our talents, because oftentimes we can't see that for ourselves either.
Right.
The way that we shine, our full potential, but also the shadow, the
Mhm.
parts that maybe we prefer not to see, or maybe the patterns that are perpetuating, that are really getting in our way. So I would say, how do I raise the consciousness on the planet, is to bring people back to themselves
Mhm.
in all their glory, whether it's the highs, the lows, the dark, the light, all of it. Because I think self-awareness, an
Mhm.
ability to see ourselves as much as possible, and to teach people how to come back to themselves on a daily basis, every single
Right.
day, to be able to be aware. And I think it's so liberating when we can be in the midst perhaps of a crisis or a struggle or a situation that's really undesirable, and to instantly, or within shorter periods of time, rather than having to wait years to be able to look back in hindsight and say, oh, I see why now,
Mhm.
is to shorten that period of time between the clarity and the actual moment that it's happening, so that things can be happening, but
Mhm.
we can have a good idea as to how we co-created it, or why, perhaps what lesson is being brought to us, what challenge, what invitation, where is it that the universe might be calling us out because we've been playing small. So I
Right.
think
That's so true.
walking walking my talk and really teaching everyone to, and it's empowering. So it's about taking back our own power when we know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know that thing, happiness. I mean, everybody wants happiness. Everybody's searching for happiness. And what I found on my journey is that, and people I work with, they, in the beginning at least, and just society as a whole, most people think that happiness is in another person. If I get this better job, if I, get the right mate, if I get the house I want, it's going to make me happy. So, what advice would you give people to just to start to try to find that happiness?
Yeah.
What would be like the first step that they can take?
This is a great question. I've really been digging into happiness versus joy recently.
Mhm.
And as you say, happiness comes from an external source. And
Right.
by no means are we negating the need for happiness and the pleasure and the juiciness that it can offer, a happy moment. It's part of being alive, part of being human.
Mhm.
But there is much more room when we're seeking happiness from somewhere out there for suffering, when we only look at it from that angle.
Mhm.
So my recommendation is that we begin, and again, it's about coming back to the self and taking
Yeah.
responsibility.
Mhm.
And when we can gradually cultivate an ability to feel joy organically, whatever the weather, whatever the day, whatever's happening out there or not happening,
Mhm.
that's when we can honestly say that we are masters of our own life.
Mhm.
So joy is not induced by something external. It's part of the makeup of your inner state.
Yes.
So yeah, right. And again, it's about coming back to the self, reconnecting, which
Mhm.
also means connecting to something that's unseen. And I never want to tell people what that might be for them. It's
Mhm.
very unique and individual for everyone.
Mhm.
But whether it's connecting mind, body, spirit through a yoga practice,
Mhm.
whether it's connecting to Mother Earth through being in nature, whether it's holistic dance or voice expression, that it's like you connect back into yourself and then you connect out into the cosmos and it reverberates back. It's just this pure bliss.
Mhm.
Or whether it's meditation, or whether it's cooking in the kitchen
Yeah.
with beautiful raw natural foods, whatever it is, it's to
Mhm.
be able to have that spark of joy just sort of sitting in your solar plexus most of the time, right?
Right.
And it's also it also can contribute to being less flappable, let's say, by life's occurrences.
Right. Absolutely, I get that. Would you like to share one of your testimonials of how you've helped someone to upgrade their life and transform it? Does anyone stand out? Do you have a favorite
Oh
person that you're
goodness,
working with in the past, or that
how
currently
to choose. Yeah, okay, you're gonna have to give me a second.
Sure, no problem.
Goodness me, how to choose. So in line with the topic of this podcast, let's find someone who wasn't so much awake and who really woke up.
Mm,
Okay, I won't mention any names, but
yeah.
um, I had a client who came to me with general sort of listlessness. She wanted weight loss. Um, by no means was she obese,
Mhm.
but there was some weight that she wanted to drop. This was very early on in my coaching career,
Mhm.
and she was dealing with loss and grief as well, and life was just sort of flat, let's say. And within and just as a side note, she was relying on a few glasses of wine every evening to relax and fall asleep,
Mhm.
which meant that she was groggy and lethargic in the morning,
I
could
get
barely
it.
get up to take the kids to school, was on antidepressants, obviously was
Wow.
relying on coffee in the morning to get her going. It was pretty, in terms of what we know is possible for quality of life, right?
Mhm.
Once you touch that edge and you know that it's possible, this woman was sort of on the other spectrum of that.
Right.
And it wasn't necessary. So we started with, of course, the initial sort of discovery and exploration, and
Mhm.
step by step got her into daily mindfulness. So I don't tend to call it meditation when it's early days, especially if someone's new,
Uh-huh.
because it could be quite daunting, but call it what you will. So
Right.
during our sessions, we were going deep. We were doing a lot of clearing and healing
Mhm.
through energy work and spoken word. So I kind of fuse energy work with spoken word, traditional counseling, hardcore, what I call hardcore Tony Robbins coaching. It's like rah, rah,
Mhm.
rah. So
Yeah.
a good fusion of it all, depending on what day it was, but depending on what mood she was in, what she needed, how well she'd slept the night before, what was going on in the family with the partner, etc. But literally within a couple of months, just to keep a long story short, she was no longer relying on the wine to get to sleep. She was drinking herbal tea. She
Good.
was waking up fresh in the morning,
Yay.
literally waking up before everyone else in the house, meditating, bouncing around. Took her took her own health back into her own
Oh,
hands,
yeah.
started cooking foods again.
That's beautiful.
And the biggie, she took herself off of the antidepressants,
Wonderful.
um, and she rekindled her marriage.
Nice.
Beautiful, lovely. I won't tell you all the stories there.
Yeah.
Lots of gorgeousness. And she had a very unexpected career twist, which to this day really, really stands out to me. And
Uh-huh.
this was simply from introducing some mindfulness, emotional intelligence,
Mhm.
and sort of spiritual practices, but very simple, easygoing, basic, some journaling as well. So that's one that really stands out because it was just a complete and utter flip within only a few months.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm sure you have similar more because I heard you say you
So
had the
many.
right. I get that totally.
Pardon?
I said I totally get that.
Sorry. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. So you have an upcoming retreat in India. When is that going to be, and how can people learn more about
I
it?
do. I do. And you're all so welcome. So the retreat is on the 11th of November in Goa, India, where I spend a lot of my time.
Mm-hmm.
You can find out more information if you want to read stuff. You can go onto the website, and it's upgradewithmariak.com. I think it's /retreat,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. But if you go onto the main website, there's a little thing you can click that says retreat. If you are the kind of person who likes to chat things through, which I know I am, because you
Mm-hmm.
want to get everything from the horse's mouth, then please feel free to, you can reach out to me via the website. We can arrange a chat, or you can go to my Facebook page, Maria K, and that's K, just the letter K, and you can just drop me a private message, and excuse me, and say, hey, can we arrange a chat? I want to ask you some stuff. Or you can email me, and it's Maria at upgradewithmariak.com.
Beautiful. And if they want to find out more about your services and perhaps need coaching or mentoring, they can check out your website for that as well and reach out to you, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's all on the website. You can, again, if you like to read, you can read. There's tons of resources. There's podcasts and videos and blogs and yada yada. So much stuff. If you want to kind of immerse yourself a little bit in the content and just get a feel for what's happening in the upgrade world, we've got an amazing upgrade Facebook group as well. It's called I Am Upgrading Community Group. So many things to remember. So,
Right? I know.
join that. Yeah, join that. Become an upgrader. We would love to have you. And absolutely, if you would like to arrange to chat to explore how I can help you one-to-one, then that's definitely an option too.
Beautiful. And I'll be sure to include your link below this podcast down
Yes,
in the
yes.
description. Absolutely. So if you
Thank you.
guys want to
Oh,
look
and the
it up.
book, and the book. Yeah,
Yeah,
if you want to have a look at the book as well, yeah, that's also on the website, or you could just go to Amazon, and it's the book is I Am Upgrading. So that contains all of the teachings, decades worth of teachings and findings and truths, and
awesome.
tips and tools. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much. Well, thanks again for being a guest, Maria, on Awakening with Katina Love. I really do appreciate you coming on and sharing.
Thank you. It's been wonderful, and all the best with whatever you're doing as well.
Thank you. Thanks so much. So thanks for tuning in to Awakening with Katina Love. Namaste.